about the NFC North. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions heading into the NFC North. It's a division that's up for grabs in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of reasons why it is up for grabs. But we have said on this show, the Lions should be the favorites heading into 2023.
For sure.
And it's all based on trajectory. Now, I'm going to throw a little caveat in there tonight, and we'll get to that. But let's break down, and let's start by asking this question. The Lamar rumors are out there. We're not getting Lamar Jackson. Let's just put it out there right.
We agree.
This discussion is not for what would happen if we had Lamar Jackson. That's going to come later in the segment. What we're talking about right now is if the Lions run it back. Jared Goff coming off arguably his second best season of his career.
Mm-hmm.
If they run it back with who they have, why are they the favorites in the NFC North?
They should be the favorites for quite a few reasons. We're seeing growth throughout this franchise. We're seeing it with the front office, the coaching staff taking steps forward and bringing these pieces back where Ben Johnson was close to being out the door. Aaron Glenn, who was this close to being fired by the middle of the season, turned himself into a hot commodity this offseason. Love that for him. And now
Second year in a row, he's been a hot commodity.
Absolutely. And now you see the pieces taking a step forward, even with Jared Goff, who at this point is probably the best quarterback in that division, assuming Mr. Ayahuasca does not come back and those Jets rumors are true. Assuming that happens, he'll be the best. Even without it, he still even might be. So,
even if the Hermit, number 12, does come back, I still think Goff is arguably the best in the NFC North.
Yeah,
with what surrounds him,
for sure.
He's in the best off. I mean, they clearly have the best offense in the NFC North. All things considered, offensive line. Receiving core, they don't have the best receiver in the NFC North. We know that that's Justin Jefferson.
Right.
But receiving core, I would say they have the best.
They got it.
A really good backfield, really good offensive line, and a quarterback that wins you football games.
Absolutely.
What I look at is the trajectory of these teams. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I told you I was going to throw a caveat in.
Yeah.
Because we know, or we would assume, that the worst team in the NFC North is who?
The Bears, by a mile.
But are they? And are they going to be in 2023?
Probably.
And here's why. Number 1 overall pick, which they can flip if they want to, or they can take the player that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have nearly $100 million in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
They have the most cap space in the NFL right now. And we know that in the NFL, it is not difficult to turn around a team from year to year.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you have cap space. If you're in cap hell, then it is. But the Bears are not.
Right.
A few key additions, nailing it on the draft, the Bears could be trouble. Especially if they get Justin Fields some help. Because we know he's dynamic with his legs. I really question his ability to throw the ball.
Me too, because he's not good at it, contrary to the hype he gets, but okay.
But he's still dangerous.
Sure.
I don't think the Bears are the worst team in the NFC North.
So who is?
I think it's going to either be the Packers or the Vikings. Specifically with, and I'll just run down this, right? The Bears have $95 million in cap space. The Packers only have $17 million in cap space. The Vikings, they're negative $14 million right now. They have to shed $14 million.
They let go of Kendricks, and then the report is that Thielen is going to be out the door next.
And there was also a report that teams are calling about Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook might not even be a Viking next year.
Absolutely.
And if Dalvin Cook's not a Viking next year, how long do you think before Justin Jefferson's like knocking on the GM's door like, you got to let me go? And
then if it suits your argument, if they give him the money that he's going to command anyway, that's not going to help them get better.
It's not. Exactly.
So
exactly.
They're in hell right now, and I love to see it.
So all of that to say, it seems like, with the exception of the Bears, who potentially could be trending in the right direction, even though they trended in the wrong direction last year, the Lions are clearly trending the best out of any of them.
Yep.
So that what? Go ahead.
No. Because of that, yeah, I think it's a clear cut call that the Lions just be favorite at this point. I mean, they don't have any kind of ascension from either side in terms of what the other teams are looking at, and there's too much missing in Chicago right now to even put them in that discussion. So I think it's clear that the Lions are there at that point. I think Green Bay is, they're missing Lazard, who's going to hit free agency. Their defense,
Tanyan's going to hit free agency.
He's somebody I wouldn't even mind calling for the Lions who need a tight end. As you were talking about Dalton Schultz, I wouldn't mind sticking it to them and calling him. But the Dalton
Schultz thing. Listen, again, that was a stab in the dark, and I got flack beyond. I get it, and rightfully so. I'll admit it. I'll wear it. You shouldn't spend $15 million on a tight end.
It's okay, man.
It was a bad segment. I'm allowed to have one every once in a while because I rarely have them. That was one of them.
We own it here. That's what makes us better. That's what makes us real.
I'm not paying $15 million for a tight end. So we can just scratch that from the annals of history. It's on the internet. It lives forever. It is what it is. I've wisened up. And I think you'll see that in the way that I handle my free agency in the next segment.
Yes.
I gotta ask, though. If they run it back, and they are the favorites, what's the ceiling?
I don't think it's as high as everybody else wants to pretend it is.
I tend to agree with you, even though there's that whole Kool-Aid drinker inside of me that's like, no. The ceiling is Super Bowl or bust.
I don't know. I feel like the NFC is going to get better soon. It can't get as worse as it was last season. And again, Goff, listen, pay attention to Goff supporters. Goff is good. He's exceeded expectations. We give him the credit he deserves. I just believe that there is a bit of a ceiling. I don't think if you went around and asked all Lions fans or even the Goff supporters, would they all agree that he's a franchise quarterback that you're willing to invest elite money into? If he has the year that we think that the Lions are going to have this season, his price goes up. It's not going to come down. You didn't draft him. He's not going to cut hometown discount. That's not going to happen. So it's going to cost elite money to keep him. And if you believe he's worth that, fine. I just push back and question that with what we've seen. He's a good player. He's good when things are right around him. I truly believe that. When you take things away, he's not the same guy. Right. That's okay. But I just think we need to be honest about that. That's all.
So it's interesting that you bring that up about the elite money, because I know you did something on the news desk, which everybody should check that out on YouTube. They drop just about daily. But we put up a poll on YouTube. Is Jared Goff worth $50 million a year? And I don't know where that number necessarily came from. I believe it came from Derek Carr's signing, and then us believing that like 50 million mark is the kind of tier that you would put like the elite quarterbacks in, right? Mm-hmm. The reality is, I don't think Jared Goff's going to ask for $50 million a year. I don't. I can't see that being the number. He's only a $30 million player right now.
Right.
Is he worth an additional 20? No, he's not. He's not in that. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Those are the
Justin
only
Herbert.
Three. I wouldn't even put Herbert there yet. Worth 50?
He's going to get paid like it, though.
He's probably going to get paid like it, but where's the production? Those three guys at least have the production. We
agree there. Yep.
What my thing is when we talk about this poll, and specifically I wanted to call out this poll because 70% of Lions fans said no way, they need a plan to replace Jared Goff. And there's some people in the comments that are pretty hateful, saying like, why are Lions fans so stupid? I don't think it's stupidity to say he's our quarterback for the next 2 years, and that's okay, barring some other move that we will discuss. But him being our quarterback for the next 2 years at a $30 million cap hit, $10 million dead money if he were to be released, which he's not going to be released before 2023. Totally fine. He earned the right. 100% earned the right to be the starting quarterback next year.
For sure.
But I think there is a ceiling.
Yes.
And I think that ceiling is what we saw in 2022.
Yes.
And there's a reason why I think that's his ceiling. First of all, Jared Goff in 2022, it was one of his best statistical seasons. And Brad Holmes even said it's a lot harder to get better at quarterback than it is to get worse at quarterback.
Right.
The fact that he was able to have that season in 2022, it was great for the Lions. A lot of it, I think, I would attribute to Ben Johnson and his system.
Me too. The run
100%.
game. Yep.
But we're talking about his second highest QBR, aside from his Super Bowl appearance. We're talking about his third highest quarterback rating. We're talking about a situation where he tossed his second highest amount of touchdowns and tied for his lowest amount of interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was statistically his best season that he's ever had. That's the ceiling. Can we expect him to replicate that on a year-to-year basis over an extension? No. I think that he could potentially come close to replicating it in 2023, which would be helpful. But eventually, that's the ceiling. And I think that there's going to be a lot of unmet expectations when it comes to Jared Goff. Because the expectation is going to be that that's just who he is what we saw in 2022. And it wasn't for all of 2022 either.
No, it was not. That's what people got to relax on. Like, people are like, when you say he's not going to ask for that money, I don't think he's going to cut no breaks. I
don't think he'll cut breaks, but I don't think that money's on the table. Like, I agree with you. There's no homecoming discount.
No. If they get to the playoffs next season, he's going to ask for that. He's going to put that on the table. And to me, that's when you're asking for him to be paid like a franchise quarterback. And to me, I wouldn't do that. To me, franchise quarterbacks, they still find a way to look like a franchise quarterback when things are not perfect for them. When his offensive line got worse with the Rams, his turnovers went up. When his receivers went down, his turnovers went up. Like, his production went down. Like, he was not the same guy. And of course, that's common for everybody except elite quarterbacks. If you don't want to pay him like that, like these upcoming new guys are gonna be too, like the Burrows and the Herberts, you gotta expect that kind of production from him. And I wouldn't want to pay him that type of money. That's why.
I think it best suits the Lions to ride out the contract. You don't extend him now, because you had a season in 2021 that was okay. Not anything really to write home about. 67% completion percentage. That's pretty good. 3,200 yards, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, but literally 6 yards per attempt. 6.6 air yards per attempt.
Yep.
Like that. Hence why, when I first started this show, he was called Captain Checkdown.
Yep.
Because he wasn't throwing the ball beyond 6 yards.
Nope.
So with that ceiling, then it makes me wonder, what's the ceiling if they take a chance with Lamar? There is a different dynamic. Like, literally, let me read you this quote from the Sporting News, okay?
Okay.
The Sporting News tier ranked the teams that should be in on Lamar Jackson. And in the tier that they put the Lions were the teams that should go all in. And they said this: unlike the Texans, the Lions would instead be contenders to win their own conference.
Yes.
Not division. Conference.
Yes.
With Jackson upgrading and adding an extra dimension to an already loaded offense.
Yes.
This is why I think the news of Lamar coming to Detroit is somewhat exciting. Even though I don't think they need him to win the division. Does that make sense?
Yes, I hear what you're saying. What you're saying.
It's not necessary that they go out and get Lamar.
Yes, we agree there.
But does getting Lamar make them a better team?
Yes. That's the point. They don't need him, but is it a clear upgrade where you now compete like thoroughly with Philly, with San Francisco? Like, you're there. You're right there with those teams. Like, he brings a dimension you don't have with a statue like Goff. Like, Lamar has shown that he has flourished when he doesn't have the best protection around him, when his number one guy is just a tight end, and when Hollywood Brown, a guy who drops everything, and he doesn't even have, like, think of who his number twos. Like, in the NFL now, you can think of the best number twos off top. Who's been Lamar's best number two since he's been there? Sammy Watkins was terrible, and I can't think of anyone else that's been there for him. So those production that we've seen from him immediately goes up with what's already set in Detroit. You are absolutely an immediate Super Bowl contender if Lamar is here. I absolutely believe that.
People are going to question, and I think that we have to ask this question as well. There's some that believe that Lamar quit on the Ravens last year. And do you want that in your quarterback? I have my thoughts on it. And first of all, let me get this off my chest too. Okay? I know that he's holding out for guaranteed money.
Right.
Much like the Browns gave Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think he's failing to understand is the Browns are just stupid.
Yeah, that was just wild.
That ruined everything.
Yes.
And then you've got Daniel Jones signing the contract that he signed earlier this week as well, which also kind of screws things up.
The only reasonable contract that was like logical was the Geno Smith deal. That was all.
I would not pay Lamar Jackson $50 million either. Let me be very, very, very clear about this. I would not. And I also would not entirely guarantee a contract for him.
Mm-hmm.
However, and I must say this caveat, I fully believe that unguaranteed contracts in the NFL are pure nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
100% pure nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect Lamar for trying to get guaranteed money because of what the Ravens have asked him to do and be over his time there.
Mm-hmm.
However, he also needs to be a little reasonable. He's not getting $50 million. There's no team. If he wants guaranteed money, he's either going to have to take less years guaranteed or he's going to have to take less money guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not going to be paid what Deshaun was paid guaranteed.
Right.
For whatever reason, people are not going to invest that. No, but if you want a fully guaranteed contract, lower the expectations just a bit because that's the situation that the NFL has created.
Yeah. And that was so hold on. Would you say that he quit? I don't think you answered the question.
Right. Sorry.
No, you good.
It doesn't look good. Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
I think he's more upset with the Baltimore Ravens organization and the way that they have handled this entire thing, which rightfully so. Like the Ravens look like kind of like morons in this situation. But I don't know if I would go so far as to say that he quit. He was injured. Could he have been with the team? Probably. But it wasn't mandatory that he was there, obviously. He wasn't breaking team rules. So you can't label somebody a quitter that didn't actually quit. He did not pull an Antonio Brown.
No.
He didn't walk off, strip off his uniform, and head out of the building.
And then jog off the field.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
I need surgery. Oh, do you? Do you, sir? No, I wouldn't say he quit either. And I don't think that's fair because yes, when you have an injury and when you have put your body on the line the way that you have, the way Lamar has for this team, like it's kind of the argument that I have with Calvin Johnson. Like people push back on Calvin getting his money. If I'm in the front office and I've seen you, die for the cause to help us fight the way you have, I'm going to make sure you are all right. And I think that should be the case now. I totally agree with you in terms of the contract. Like Cleveland screwed up everything for everybody. The first guaranteed fully deal. And now Lamar, who probably was more deserving, you could argue, than a guy like Deshaun was.
Deshaun wasn't even a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion.
Man. So, even with that, like Lamar...
not to even mention the off the field stuff that Deshaun brought with him.
You talking about just as a player?
Just as a player, like
okay.
The fact that Lamar did not get the type of deal that Deshaun got with an MVP, multiple playoff appearances, and no off the field issues.
None. He's the face of that franchise too. Like I don't understand. He changed
Why would
the way
a free agent ever want to go play for Baltimore after the way they've seen
they
the
gotta
way they
be
treated?
seeing that.
Right.
They have to be seeing that. And for me, I would consider him a quitter. But even if you did, football is different for me because like I've seen people in the comments, I've seen pushback. Oh, if you don't do your job, like you're not at a he's not at a desk at a corporate job. He's playing football, and he changed the entire way they played. They had Joe Flacco, who was a statue, and they put him in when he got hurt, and he's changed everything about Baltimore. I feel like I would never call him a quitter in this regard, but I feel like if it comes out some way that he did, I wouldn't blame him for what he's done for this franchise and the way that they've treated him in terms of what his contract is, for the help that they've refused to put around him offensively. Yeah, I would absolutely have a problem too, but his teammates haven't said anything about it. I love that. Yeah. The players around the league are giving him a lot of support. I do love seeing that too. So yeah, I'm on his side.